On July 5th, 2002, Alisa Kaplan lied to her parents and went to a party at a beach house. She doesn't remember much of what happened that night, a night that led to one of the most notorious rape cases in California history.
Alisa Kaplan was 16 years old when she was brutally raped by a group of boys at a beach party. That assault, along with the media frenzy, sent Alisa headlong into a drug addiction. Eventually, the boys were convicted, but the effects of that trauma didn't stop when the trial ended. In her book, Still Room for Hope, Alisa recounts her darkest moments and the steps she took to rebuild her life.
Alisa Kaplan is here with us now. Alisa, thank you for sharing your story. You were a conservative, straight-A student, family-oriented girl. You made a decision to go to a beach party that you knew in your heart you probably shouldn't go to. Tell us about that night.
I was invited to go to the beach house by my boyfriend and our two friends. I knew all three of the guys, and so I trusted them. I'd hung out with them many times before, so I decided to go hang out. I did have, as you said, a feeling that I shouldn't go, which was God speaking to me. I didn't listen to it, and it ended up being a decision that I shouldn't have made.
Well, it cost you so much. You know, I was thinking as I read your book about, you know, when we're 16, we make a lot of decisions that we wouldn't make when we're a little older and a little bit wiser. You, the next day, really woke up not knowing what had happened to you. I mean, things were fuzzy. You didn't really, you'd had a drink and had smoked one little bit of weed, and it wouldn't have produced that kind of haziness and just fuzziness in you. Then you realized that something beyond what you remembered had happened. 3 days later, it was a phone call your dad got that really turned your world upside down.
Yeah, it was July 9th. Yeah.
Tell me what happened in that phone call.
The police had called my house looking for me. It was 5:30 in the morning, and when my dad answered the phone, he got worried because I was in the house sleeping, and they proceeded to inform him once they found out that I was there and I was okay, that they had been looking for me for the past 4 days because of this videotape that they recovered, and they were pretty sure that it was me, and it was showing a gang rape. And
they actually thought you were dead because of what was on the video.
Yes, they did. Well, that's why it took them 4 days to get a hold of us, because they had first been calling morgues and hospitals, and yeah,
to find out where is this girl?
Yeah,
wow.
where's this body?
Yeah,
yeah.
You know what was done to you was so violent and vile and tragic. This should have been an open and shut case. There was video. I mean, you could identify the boys involved. You knew who the victim was, but it turned into a terribly tragic smear campaign. What happened?
I think it was just because of the families that were involved. The guys, one of the guys that was a perpetrator, his father was a very high authority official in the
connections.
Exactly, in the community and the police department. He was.
But what was so stunning about it, Alisa, was it wasn't just that these were moneyed families with connections. All of your friends turned on you.
Yes, they did.
Was that shocking to you?
Yes, it was, yeah.
That had to be such an incredibly lonely time in your life.
It was devastating, especially at 16, when your friends mean everything to you.
Yeah. Then the judge declared a mistrial. What did you think at that time?
My exact words were, money can buy anything. Wow. When I found out the mistrial. It was at that moment that I realized money and power can really buy anything.
But by now, not only was your reputation ruined in the community, they dragged you through the mud. Yeah. Your parents went through all of that public humiliation, financial loss. Oh, yeah. I mean, just the sense of not being able to help your child who's devastated in the midst of this. I mean, I can't even imagine the kind of just hopelessness that went through that. You know, a lot of girls, when they go through rape, sexual assault, whatever you want to call it, are afraid to come to the forefront because of exactly what happened to you.
Yes.
What would you say to them?
Well, unfortunately, society, with the victim blaming that we have in society, and the justice system seems to, unfortunately, treat the victim like they're the perpetrator. It's more like the rape victims on trial. And it makes people very, you know, it makes women very scared to come forward, and it's completely understandable.
Yeah.
And the guilt and the shame that's affiliated with it, it makes you not want to speak out. But speaking out is the best tool for healing.
It's healing for yourself, and also there's a sense that maybe the craziness and hopelessness of this situation is going to be changed for someone else because of your bravery.
Exactly.
These boys got 3 years eventually.
They were actually sentenced to 6, but they only ended up serving about 3 years because they got time served.
But you were in your own prison at that time, a prison of hopelessness and terror, self-hatred. Talk about what that time was like for you.
It was the worst time of my life. It was awful, and I literally wanted to die.
Yeah.
I say that I wasn't brave enough to do it, which I don't like using that term, but I wanted to die, and I wanted to kill myself. I just didn't have the guts to do it. And so I was trying to do it with drugs, and either by overdosing or just killing myself with drugs. And I was very heavily into drug use, and I was homeless for a period of time, and it destroyed my life.
Yeah, it really, really did.
Yeah.
Your book is called Still Room for Hope.
Yes.
I mean, you were on the street at one point. You spent time in rehab. More than once. Yeah. And your family had moved away, not moved away physically, but emotionally and psychologically, because they wanted you to be desperate and choose to come out of this. How did hope come to you?
Hope came to me, the first moment really was when the police raided the apartment that I was staying in, and they were going to take me to jail, and that would have resulted in 3.5 years in prison.
Wow.
And by the grace of God, the police officer found a list of rehabs that I had been trying to call because I truly wanted help at that point. And so they gave me 1 week to get into rehab, or they were going to come and take me away. And on that 7th day, I got into rehab, and that was where things started to change. And then when I finally actually found God and realized what Jesus had done for me on the cross was at a church retreat in 2011.
So some of that freedom comes from forgiving yourself in all of that, for just all of the things that go through your heart and mind when you've been abused and used. How did you get to the place where you could forgive those who had done such horrific things to you?
A lot of work and a lot of praying and spending a lot of time with God.
What difference did forgiveness make?
It took that burden, and it took that resentment that I still had and that hatred. It got rid of it. It allowed me to be happy again. It allowed me to get the glow in my eyes back again and get my life back, really, because I had to forgive myself first, and once I was able to do that, then I was able to forgive my perpetrators.
What are you doing today?
Today, I am a victim's advocate, so I'm helping other victims
Romans 8:28.
become survivors. I'm sorry?
Romans 8:28.
Yes, there you go. So I'm helping other survivors I want any victim, I want them to become a survivor. I want them to know that there's always room for hope. And I'm working and going to school to get my degree in psychology. And
wow, lots of dreams again restored. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to mention the name of the book again. It's called Still Room for Hope, and the subtitle is The Survivor Story of Sexual Assault, Forgiveness, and Freedom. And you can get a copy in stores nationwide. If you have been through this yourself, or you know someone who has, Alisa's book is a great book to find hope and healing. Alisa, thank you for being here and for your candidness.
Thank you.